Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Sorry We're Closed. I am your host, Mr. Patrick James Light. And guys, I gotta tell you, I'm excited. I am recording this mere minutes before I have to leave for the airport for Key West for the weekend. So this is why you're hearing this on Monday morning, which probably won't be as relevant of news. But with my morning cup of coffee that I'm gonna sip right now, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what happened last night in the Red Sox game and how I'm a little bit disappointed in Eck. So last night, there was, I forget the guy's name on the A's, but he leaned into a curveball, a hanging curveball, to get hit and take your base. Now, I agree with most guys in baseball. That's one of the more Bush things you can do. It's up to the umpire to call it, so it's not necessarily, and people try to bend the rules all the time to get on base. But as a pitcher, I'm going to try to make sure they don't do that. I want to get them a little bit scared to do that because I'm trying to win a ball game here. And so he leans in. Garrett Richards is upset about it. The umpire calls. I don't know if it hit him or it didn't hit him, but the umpire calls it and makes sure that he stays in the box. And then the next pitch is a fastball up, and Garrett Richards lets it fly up by his head. And Dennis Eckersley is really, really upset about it. And I don't often disagree with Eck. I don't know him personally, but I know when I was with the organization, there was a lot of hate towards Eck because he was very negative. In my post-playing career, I've watched a lot of games now. I haven't really heard it as much as I used to. Maybe since the David Price incident, Essen told him to kind of cool it with how negative he might have been. I'm not really sure if there was ever a conversation or if we were just overly sensitive because we were playing at the time. But I don't, in my post-playing days and watching the games, I don't often disagree with him. He's as good of an announcer as it gets. He is really spot on. I mean, he was a Hall of Fame pitcher, so how could he not be? He really speaks the game well. But I was a little, not upset, but I definitely disagreed with what Eckersley was saying. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you the story about when I was in Puerto Rico, and I may have told this story before, but when I was in Puerto Rico playing under Alex Cora, there was a guy by the name of Johnny Monell Jr. on my team. He was the catcher, and he was a little bit of a cocky guy. I loved him. He's been on the podcast. Really nice guy, but he definitely had a swagger to him on the field, as a lot of Latin players do. They have a different type of swagger than Americans do a lot of times. And Johnny Monell, he hit I don't know if he hit a home run once before or what have you, but the other team, this team Carolina, was not happy about the way he was acting in the game. So they hit him. Bench is clear. I'm warming up in the bullpen. And I'm ready. This is, especially in not a foreign country, but in Puerto Rico, you're still an American, you're still kind of foreign. And the way to gain some respect from your teammates is that you have their back when they need you to. And sure enough, I was not going to take this opportunity lightly. I was going to make sure that I had my teammates back, win some of these guys over, because I didn't really think they liked me anyway. So I was going to win some of these guys over. So I come into the game. The first two guys up at bat were huge gentlemen. Wasn't throwing at them. Keep in mind as well, and I'm pretty sure when I've told this story before, I've mentioned this, I had just been put on the 40-man roster for the Red Sox that morning, so this was a little bit of an interesting situation. But the next guy, Ozzie Smith, no, Ozzie Smith is the guy that's, I don't remember what his last name was, but this guy Ozzie, and I throw it, I'm aiming for his back, but I throw it up by his head. He ends up ducking, it misses him, doesn't even hit him, he charges the mound the whole bit. You've seen the video on TikTok where I run away, it's a whole funny thing. But the reason when I want to explain this is that I want people to understand this, that are guys that, when they just jump on you can't headhunt. When you're about to start a fight, possibly, the control goes out the window. Not to mention a guy like Garrett Richards, who doesn't have the best command of his fastball anyway. The control goes out the window. You are hoping to hit his back, or even just a little chin music. I mean, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. I see all the time talk about how we can't be headhunting. We can't be headhunting. You know one of the best headhunters of all time was Pedro Martinez. And Pedro Martinez told me in the bullpen back in 2015 that he never headhunted. He was thought of as the headhunter, but he never headhunted. When he went through the ball inside, he did not care if it was a strike. It was the only pitch he didn't think he cared to strike. He wanted to be on the black or further in. And the reason being, and it's brilliant, is that if you're in the black or further in, no matter where the pitch ends up, whether you smoke him, Whether you throw it behind him, whether you paint it right on the black, it served a purpose. There are plenty of pitches in the game of baseball that don't serve a purpose. When you misfire by two, a ball so far away doesn't serve a purpose. A ball so far up or a ball that bounces in the grass, those pitches don't serve a purpose. This pitch, you can miss almost anywhere other than over the plate, and it serves an enormous purpose for you. With that being said, the art of some chin music has been lost in today's game. Everyone's like, oh, you're headhunting, wham, wham, wham. No, if I see a guy is just constantly looking for that outside pitch, he's leaning over the plate, not to get hit, but he's diving, trying to get to that outside fastball, which is a pitch maybe that I loved. I'm going to brush him back. If I hit him, I hit him. But I'm definitely going to brush him back. I'm going to make him think twice before leaning over there, because if he leans and gets to that pitch, that single or that ground ball to the first base turns into possibly a double in the gap, because he's not worried about that inside pitch, so he's able to get his legs and his body really into that pitch on the outside corner and take it the other way. If you don't play that game, if you don't throw inside, if you don't brush guys off the plate, these are the things that happen. Not to mention guys leaning in to try to get hit by pitches. Especially they're all going up there with about 15 pieces of armor nowadays, so it doesn't even hurt. There is no repercussions for getting hit. The only thing you get is first base. It's a win. So when I hear Dennis Eckersley, who's a guy that, to my understanding, had phenomenal command, and maybe when he did chin music, it was perfectly executed. But a guy like Eckersley be so disappointed in what happened. No, the guy leaned in, and he said timing was off. Timing was perfect. There was never a better time than to show people, oh wait, you can't lean in, this ball might come up here. That is perfect timing, if for nothing else than to make sure that guys are staying honest in the batter's box. Get people a little nervous. You don't want guys super comfortable in the box. I used to throw hard in on guys right at their hip. They'll get out of the way, but right at their hip, because I didn't want them comfortable in the box. Because when they're comfortable in the box, they'll spit on pitches they normally would swing at. They're taking absolute daddy hacks when there's a pitch that they want. You don't want these things. So, you don't ever want to get a guy hit in the head, but there's also assumed risk when you're playing the game of baseball. That might happen. If you're aiming for someone's head, different story. But if you're trying to get it up and in, really up and in, and really, take some hairs off that whatever it is, off your beard, then God bless you, do it. It is what should be done. Because this is part of the game of baseball. And I'm okay if people want to pimp home runs now. I've recently said on the podcast that I'm on board. We can pimp home runs now. We can do all of that fun stuff and no repercussions. Let's add some spice to the game of baseball. But the game of baseball, let's not lose what the game of baseball is and the art of pitching. When you need to go up and in, Greg Maddux did it, Tom Glavine did it, Roger Clemens did it, all of the great pitchers that we talk about so highly now did it back in the day, and they should be doing it now. If you eliminate chin music, everyone's gonna get scolded for this, we're gonna get suspended for this. Then all of a sudden now and I know everyone wants to see home runs, so maybe this is what Major League Baseball is going for, but it's not. This is part of the art of pitching. The art of pitching. Throw that ball up and in, really brush him off, and then paint low and away. There's no way he's touching that low and an outside fastball once you throw it under his chin. It's a free pitch. So, again, I just don't want to lose that. I heard that last night. Again, I don't often disagree with Dennis Eckersley. The guy is as good of a pitcher as there ever was. From my understanding, he's a phenomenal person, a really good dude. I know he got into it, David Price, who I believe is one of the best dudes in baseball. I know a lot of people have their opinions on David, but he's one of the best dudes in baseball, and he was protecting another teammate. You can't get on him for that. So I understand that there have been discrepancies here in the past with players against Dennis. I'm not one of them. I didn't like how negative he was back in the day, but again, maybe I was just overly sensitive back then. I'm not sure. But what I'm saying now is that I don't like the extreme negativity that I saw on Twitter and I saw with Dennis and the guys in the booth talking about what Garrett Richards did last night. I think it was brilliant. Was it maybe a little too close? Yeah. Could he have located the pitch a little bit better? Yeah. Will some of you on Twitter tell me that if you can't locate this pitch, you shouldn't be throwing it? Yeah. But again, this is the game of baseball. There's assumed risk when you go up to that batter's box. And if you're going to lean in, not that we're trying to hit you in the head, but mistakes happen. I'm going to try to come up and in hard to get you a little bit nervous in that box. I don't want to hit you. I would be very apologetic if I did. But this is the game of baseball. And this is what I don't think it was completely uncalled for. I saw TikToks that said it was uncalled for. I saw, again, a lot of negative stuff. And again, I'm not opposed to these pimping home runs. Let's do all this fun stuff. Let's have fun in the game of baseball. But under no circumstances should we be eliminating this type of pitch and this type of pitching when guys are leaning over the plate. You got to get people off the plate. You got to have, because if you don't, that outside corner becomes really difficult to execute, because now guys are over that plate and they'll be able to hit that ball as if it was middle. Can't have that. Can't have that in the game of baseball, not in pitching. Need that pitch to be able to execute sometimes. It's not often, but every now and again, you got to go in. It was the only time that Garrett did it all day. You got to be able to execute that pitch, and you got to be able to do it. Otherwise, it's just, you're giving free rein to these hitters to be as comfortable in this box as they want to be. And we can't have that as pitchers unless all of a sudden Hall of Fame pitchers are now having 4 ERAs. And if that's the case, then so be it. But that's my 2 cents, guys, on this thing. The Red Sox won last night. Very excited about that. They're going into a weekend series right now with the Angels, who, by the way, we all know is my infamous story with Mike Trout. So it should be a fun series. I'll be in Key West. I'll try to tweet out some of the stuff I'm watching in the game. It's fun to watch that games down there while I've been drinking. But it's my partner's 40th birthday, my business partner's 40th birthday down there, so we should be having a good time. Who knows what Red Sox game will be aired in Key West. So, guys, enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend. I'll see you. Well, you're listening to this on Monday. I hope you had a phenomenal weekend. And, guys, I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.